Alright. We're back. This is Jarvis Biker. May 17th, 2022. 6:06 p.m. Just set up the whole helmet camera system. All GoPro. Everybody's working. Port Dover, we had Friday the 13th, last Friday. Had about 100,000 visitors. And I had a special guest for the day. I started out my morning by jumping on the bike and heading for Niagara Falls, Ontario. I parked near the Whirlpool Bridge at a Tim Hortons, and I waited for my newfound friend and colleague, Craig Hanesworth, famous YouTuber, Goldwing rider. So we met up at about 9 a.m. Had a handshake, talked about the last 3 years of planning this visit, one way or another. Finally it coming to be. So we set out from Niagara Falls and pretty much made a beeline right for Dunnville, Ontario. I wanted Craig to see the route to Port Dover, not the quick and easy way, which we call it, the QEW 403 highway, the big slab. We didn't want him having to only know the route by that. So we could have started out at Fort Erie and I could have took him the whole way up along the Lake Erie. But I decided to keep it within the time constraints that we had as him coming and letting him be able to do his thing at Port Dover and videotape whatever he needed to do, as well as for his channel. So I decided on, shortly after leaving Dunnville, Ontario, we jumped over onto the lakeshore and I gave him the scenic route to Port Dover. So it took us about an hour or so, hour and a half, 2 hours to roll up through there. We weren't in any big rush, and I wanted him to see it. And the roads are a little crappy yet from the long winter that we had, and the road guys haven't got out to get at everything yet. So there was a few spots that were a little dirty, let's put it that way. So safety's sake, we didn't rush things. And we had a nice conversation, limited by problems we were having with the Bluetooth hookup, and it ended up eventually not being his Bluetooth. It was the connection into my microphones in my system. Basically the two things, the microphone from my helmet going to the microphone system and the sound coming from my Bluetooth receiving Craig's conversation, were fighting each other. I can't split those two signals down into one without using the Rode Wireless Go. So knowing that now, next time Craig will have a lot better audio on this video. So some of it in the quiet moments, we're able to hear Craig's side of the conversation. By the hundred and going out by the handful. Yeah, this is Highway 6. This goes right to Jarvis and Hagersville and Caledonia and Hammond. Straight down. Craig Hanesworth. Here's Craig. Live from Port Dover. So that's what this video is for. It's just to introduce Craig as being my visitor on that day, and that we walked around Port Dover and looked at all the bikes and sat and had lunch and talked and had a really good time. I found out that my first impression of Craig was correct. He's a top shelf individual. He's a community-minded man that's contributed to his area all his life, and you know, it's cool to actually meet him and have a little bit of fun riding our bikes together and comparing the new bike I have to the new bike that he has, and listing the comparative differences and the similarities to both bikes. In certain ways they're quite similar, and people will probably argue me on that, but if they're not experienced with this bike, they won't recognize the similarities to the Goldwing. And it was an interesting day. We had fun. So once we got done, a couple hours in Port Dover and visiting with the Superman Kev, and we looked around for Dave White from Harley's Diners Rides, but we didn't see him. So he ended up that he was there, but we never did catch up to him. So that's the thing when there's a big throng of people like that. It's really hard to find people, and they'd shut down the cell system and they made it a no-fly zone for the drones. So trying to do phone communications was virtually impossible inside the downtown, and it was all blocked off right from here on this corner. You were able to go down the street there straight and go in the back street, or you could come up the other side street over one this way and come up to the far end of town and come back most of the way. But this whole strip area right in here to, I think, the next stoplight up here at the Norfolk Hotel. Yes, up to this stoplight it was barricaded off, no bikes allowed in. It was all people and vendors. up ahead here on both sides was motorcycles lined up, foot peg to foot peg all the way up here, both sides. None allowed down the middle. They had to leave the middle open, and the reason they said for that was in case an emergency vehicle had to get down for any reason. So that's okay. We'll give them that. And so once we'd had our lunch and our fill of loud Harley motorcycles and people, we decided to head out this way. So I took Craig on a tour all out along the lakeshore this way, with commentary on certain points and where we were and what was around us. And I don't think he'd ever known that this existed out this way. He'd only come straight up on the big highway to Dover and never got a chance to search out around here. So we ran up to basically we went up past Turkey Point. We went up past Turkey Point, up around our favorite road for nighttime little after dinner ride. We usually go up that way, look at the scenery and look for wildlife. And so I wanted Craig to see that so that he knew it was there for another visit later on, that we could go even farther. And I told him all the way up, like Port Burwell, Port Stanley. I mean, there's a day-long ride just to go there and have lunch and ride back. It's pretty much, part of the morning and the afternoon to get that done leisurely. And so he'll be able to come back another time, and we'll go even farther. So it's already been stated that we need to get together again. This time it'll be that I have to reciprocate by coming over to his side of the border, which we're more than glad to do. And I also suggested that if it's possible that we include the wives in the trip, and he can show me some of his secret roads and get to know a little bit more of his area. So